You keep making one-pot meals that turn out bland, mushy, or stuck to the bottom of the pan. Chinese home cooks have been perfecting one-pot cooking for centuries, layering flavor and texture into a single vessel long before it became a trend anywhere else. Today, you are counting down 31 clever one-pot meal tricks that will change the way you cook forever. Stay with us, because the tricks near the end will save you more time and mess than anything you have tried before. 31. Layer rice and toppings. So everything steams at once. Most people cook rice and toppings separately, dirtying 2 pots for one meal. Chinese home cooks stack everything in a single layer, letting steam do the work all at once. Rinse 3/4 cup jasmine rice, add 1 1/4 cups water, then arrange sliced Chinese sausage and marinated chicken directly on top. Cover and cook on low heat for 18 minutes without lifting the lid. The trapped steam carries starch molecules upward, gelatinizing the rice evenly while cooking the toppings through. This is the exact method street vendors in Guangzhou use to serve clay pot rice out of a single vessel, morning after morning. What you get is rice that is fluffy underneath and glossy on top, with every grain tasting like the meat above it. 30. Build a crispy rice crust in a clay pot. A clay pot holds heat differently than any pot in your kitchen. After your rice and toppings finish steaming, crank the heat to high for exactly 90 seconds, no longer. The unglazed clay conducts heat unevenly on purpose, creating hot spots that caramelize the bottom layer of rice into a crust. This is the same guoba technique grandmothers in Sichuan swear by, prized for centuries as the best part of the pot. Listen for a faint crackling sound. That is your cue to pull it off the heat immediately. Most people skip this step entirely, thinking the rice is already done. Scrape gently with a spatula, and you will find a sheet of rice that is shatteringly crisp, golden brown, and impossible to stop eating. 29. Brown aromatics. Before any liquid touches the pot, the Maillard reaction only happens when sugars and proteins meet dry heat, never in the presence of water. That is the science most home cooks never learned. Heat 2 tablespoons oil until shimmering. Then add sliced ginger, garlic, and scallion whites, stirring for exactly 45 seconds. Most people dump everything into the pot at once and wonder why the final dish tastes flat. Coastal households in Fujian build entire dishes around this 30-second window of browning, treating it as the flavor foundation for everything that follows. Once the edges turn golden, that is your signal to add liquid. What follows is a broth that smells deeply savory before you have added a single other ingredient. 28. Add cornstarch. Slurry at the exact right moment. Timing. A slurry wrong ruins a one-pot meal fast, either leaving it watery or turning it into paste. Chinese cooks use a fixed ratio for control. 1 tablespoon cornstarch dissolved in 2 tablespoons cold water, never added directly to hot liquid. Xinjiang home kitchens rely on this exact technique for their braised meat pots, where sauce needs to cling without clumping. Pour the slurry in a thin stream while stirring constantly, only once the pot has stopped actively boiling. Cornstarch molecules need gentler heat to swell and thicken properly, which is why boiling liquid causes lumps. Most people pour it in too fast in one dump and end up with gluey pockets. Done right, your sauce turns silky, glossy, and clings to every bite. 27. Use the clay pot lid. Crack trick full steam. Trapped under a tight lid can turn a one-pot meal soggy within minutes. Propping your lid open exactly 1 centimeter with a wooden chopstick lets excess steam escape while still holding in heat. Street vendors across Guangdong province have used this trick for generations, especially with clay pot rice and braises that need texture control. The controlled venting reduces condensation dripping back into the pot, which is what causes that unwanted mushiness. Instructions are simple: wedge the chopstick between lid and rim, then check back every 10 minutes. Most people either seal the lid completely or leave it fully open, both extremes ruining texture. What you end up with is a dish that stays intact, never waterlogged, with every ingredient holding its own bite. 26. Layer proteins on top of vegetables. So juices based. Downward instructions come first here, so pay attention. Cut chicken thighs into 2-inch pieces and lay them directly over sliced bok choy and carrots, never mixed together. Grandmothers in Guangdong swear by this stacking method for their one-pot braises, insisting the order changes everything about the final texture. As the meat cooks, gravity pulls rendered fat and juices straight down into the vegetables below. Most people toss everything together in one pile, which leaves vegetables dry and proteins swimming in their own runoff instead of sharing it. This downward basting effect works through simple gravity. No stirring required, no lid lifting needed. What you end up with is vegetables that taste rich and meaty, glistening under a thin, savory sheen. 25. Time noodles and broth. So noodles. Never turn. Mushy starch. Molecules keep absorbing liquid even after noodles look fully cooked, which is the science most people never account for. Add wheat noodles to your simmering broth exactly 90 seconds before you plan to serve, not a moment earlier. Most home cooks toss noodles in too soon and end up with a bloated, gluey mess by the time the meal reaches the table. Night market cooks in Xi'an time this down to the second, knowing residual heat keeps cooking noodles even off the burner. Pull the pot off heat the instant noodles look barely tender. What you get on the plate is noodles that stay springy, slick, and perfectly chewy bite after bite. 24. Add a splash of Shaoxing wine to deglaze and build depth. Shanghai home cooks treat Shaoxing wine as a non-negotiable step, never an optional splash. Pour 2 tablespoons directly onto the hot pan after browning your aromatics, scraping up every browned bit stuck to the bottom. Those browned fragments are packed with concentrated flavor compounds that plain broth alone cannot replicate. Most people skip this step and wonder why their one-pot dish tastes strangely one-dimensional. Let the wine bubble and reduce for 20 seconds before adding any other liquid. This quick deglazing step lifts fond off the pan surface and dissolves it straight into your sauce. The result is a broth that tastes layered, warm, and unmistakably rich. 23. Pre-soak dried mushrooms and reuse the soaking liquid. As stock-dried, shiitake mushrooms hide almost all their flavor until rehydrated properly, and most people throw away the very liquid that unlocks it. Soak 8 dried shiitake mushrooms in 1.5 cups warm water for 30 minutes covered. Coastal households in Fujian have passed down this practice for generations, never once pouring that soaking water down the drain. Glutamate compounds leach out of the mushrooms during soaking, concentrating naturally into a savory, ready-made stock. Strain the liquid through a fine cloth to catch any grit, then pour it straight into your pot. What you gain is a broth that tastes deeply umami, earthy, and layered without adding a single bouillon cube. Stick around, because number 19 uses a tool you probably already own to double your pot's cooking power without adding a single dish to wash. 22. Toast rice in oil. Before adding liquid for separate, fluffy grains. Most people pour rice straight into water and hope for the best, ending up with clumpy, sticky results. Heat 1 tablespoon oil in your pot, add 1 cup rinsed rice, and stir constantly for 2 minutes until grains turn slightly translucent at the edges. This coating step forms a thin barrier around each starch granule, slowing water absorption just enough to prevent grains from fusing together. Sichuan home cooks use this exact toasting method before building any layered clay pot dish, treating it as a non-negotiable first step. Only after toasting do you add 1.5 cups water and bring it to a boil. What comes out of the pot is rice that stays fluffy, separate, and light, with not a single clump in sight. 21. Use soy sauce, color layering for a mahogany finish. Dark soy sauce and light soy sauce serve 2 completely different jobs, though most people treat them as interchangeable. Add 1 tablespoon light soy sauce early in cooking for salt and umami, then stir in 1 teaspoon dark soy sauce only in the final 2 minutes. Caramelized sugars in dark soy sauce oxidize quickly under heat, turning bitter if added too early instead of at the very end. Add too much dark soy too soon, and your whole pot turns bitter and overly dark. Home cooks in Beijing time this exact 2-step layering for their braised dishes, treating it as the difference between amateur and restaurant-quality color. What you end up with is a deep mahogany finish that looks polished, glossy, and restaurant-ready. 20. Add leafy greens at the very last minute. Bok choy and other leafy greens lose their color and snap within minutes of hitting hot liquid. Stir them into your pot only during the final 90 seconds of cooking, submerging just enough to wilt. Chlorophyll breaks down rapidly under sustained heat, which is exactly why overcooked greens turn a dull, army green color. Most people add greens at the start alongside everything else, and by serving time, they have turned limp and gray. Grandmothers across Guangdong treat this timing as sacred, adding greens only once everything else is nearly done. What lands on the plate is greens that stay vibrant, crisp, and bright green from pot to bowl. 19. Use a bamboo steamer insert for a second cooking zone. Setting. A bamboo steamer insert directly on top of your simmering pot creates a second cooking zone using the same heat source. Fill the pot below with broth or braising liquid, then place fish or dumplings inside the steamer basket on top, covered. This layered setup relies on convection, letting rising steam cook the upper layer while the lower layer simmers untouched. Cantonese kitchens have used stacked steamer setups for generations, cooking two components of a meal without using two burners. Most people cook components separately in different pots, using more fuel and more dishes for no real benefit. Check the top layer at the 12-minute mark for doneness. What you get is two dishes finished together, each one tender, fragrant, and perfectly timed. If you have made it this far, hit subscribe now, because the next 10 hacks get even more clever, and you will not want to miss number 10. 18. Season in stages. Instead of all at once. Salt behaves differently depending on when it enters the pot, something most home cooks never consider. Sichuan cooks season in 3 separate stages: a pinch with the aromatics, a spoonful mid-simmer, and a final adjustment right before serving. Osmosis pulls moisture out of ingredients whenever salt touches them directly, which changes texture depending on timing. Dump all your salt in one go at the start, and vegetables release too much water too early, turning watery and thin. Add 3 stages instead, tasting between each one, adjusting up or down. What you build is a dish with layered seasoning, balanced and never flat, never one note. 17. Use ginger slices as a natural non-stick barrier. Most people grease their pot and still watch food stick stubbornly to the bottom. Lay 3 thick slices of fresh ginger across the base of your pot before adding rice or braised ingredients on top. The ginger's fibrous structure and natural moisture create a physical barrier that prevents starch and protein from bonding directly to hot metal. Coastal fishing families along the Zhejiang coast have used this exact trick for generations when cooking fish over rice. This works better than oil alone because the ginger releases moisture as it cooks, actively lifting food off the surface. Pull the ginger out once your dish is done, or leave it in for extra flavor. What is left behind is a pot that releases clean, with a subtle ginger aroma perfuming everything above it. 16. Add a final drizzle of sesame oil. Off heat. Toasted sesame oil contains volatile aromatic compounds that break down fast under direct heat, turning bitter within seconds. Pour 1 teaspoon over your finished dish only after removing the pot from the burner completely. Most people add sesame oil early in cooking, thinking it will infuse the whole pot, but instead it just burns off and disappears. Home cooks across Beijing treat this final drizzle as the true finishing touch, never a cooking ingredient. The residual heat from the pot is enough to release its fragrance without scorching it. Wait exactly 30 seconds after the pour before serving, letting the aroma bloom. What rises off the pot is a nutty, warm fragrance that hits you before the first bite even reaches your mouth. 15. Use the 1 ladle test to check broth reduction. Most people lift the lid constantly to check on their broth, letting valuable steam and heat escape every single time. Instead, dip 1 ladle straight down to the bottom of the pot and lift it slowly, watching how the liquid clings to the metal. Thick, syrupy broth coats the ladle in a visible sheen, while thin broth slides right off without resistance. This trick prevents evaporation loss, since constant lid lifting drops pot temperature and extends cooking time unnecessarily. Grandmothers in Hunan province rely on this exact single dip method, never opening the lid more than once during a whole braise. Once the broth coats the ladle evenly, you know reduction is complete. What is left in the pot is a broth that tastes concentrated, silky, and deeply savory. 14. Build a lapchang sausage layer for rendered fat. Lapchang sausage releases a slow, steady stream of rendered fat. When heated gently, something plain protein alone cannot replicate. Slice 4 links on a diagonal and layer them directly beneath your rice, never mixed in randomly. As the sausage warms, rendered fat drips downward and coats every grain beneath it in flavor. Cantonese households have layered lapchong into clay pot rice for generations, treating the sausage placement as deliberate, never random. Most people scatter sausage pieces on top only, missing the chance to let fat baste the rice below. Let it cook undisturbed for the full 18 minutes alongside the rice. What you uncover underneath is rice that tastes rich, glossy, and faintly sweet with rendered fat. 13. Use eggs. Cracked directly into the simmering pot. Egg proteins coagulate almost instantly in hot liquid, which is exactly the effect Chinese cooks rely on for silky texture. Crack 2 eggs directly into your simmering broth during the final minute of cooking, without stirring right away. Most people scramble eggs separately in another pan, adding an extra dish and missing the chance to thicken the broth naturally. Coastal families in Fujian pour eggs straight into soup pots this way, letting the whites form soft ribbons through the broth. Wait 15 seconds before gently swirling once with a spoon. What forms is silky egg ribbons suspended through a broth that turns glossy and rich. 12. Time the rest period. After cooking, most people serve straight off the heat, missing a critical step that changes texture completely. Let your finished pot rest, covered, for exactly 10 minutes before lifting the lid again. Residual heat continues carrying moisture and flavor compounds throughout the dish during this window, redistributing everything evenly. Skip this rest, and you get a dish with pockets of overcooked edges and undercooked centers, uneven from bite to bite. Grandmothers in Jiangsu province built this resting step into every braise, treating it as non-negotiable as the cooking itself. Only after the 10 minutes is up should you finally serve. What you get is a dish that tastes evenly cooked, tender, and balanced in every single bite. Drop a comment right now telling me which hack you are trying first, because number 6 coming up might just be the smartest trick on this entire list. 11. Use scallion oil. Poured at the end for a glossy finish. Scallion oil carries fragrant compounds that dissipate quickly once exposed to prolonged heat, which is why timing matters so much. Heat 2 tablespoons oil until faintly smoking. Pour it directly over 3 tablespoons chopped scallions in a heat-proof bowl, and let it sizzle for 10 seconds. Most people stir scallions into the pot early, and the fragrance disappears completely by the time the dish is done. Drizzle the finished oil over your pot right before serving, never during cooking. Shanghai home cooks treat this final pour as a signature move, reserved only for the very last step. What lands on the surface is a glossy sheen with a sharp, fragrant aroma that hits you the moment the lid comes off. 10. Use the chopstick. Steam vent trick to prevent overflow. Boiling liquid can climb straight over the rim of a covered pot within seconds, especially with starchy dishes like congee. Lay 1 wooden chopstick across the rim before setting the lid on top, creating a small permanent gap for steam to escape. This constant venting relieves pressure buildup gradually, instead of trapping steam until it forces the lid to rattle and overflow. Grandmothers across Guangdong province have used this trick for generations while cooking congee over long stretches on the stove. Most people just crack the lid open and closed repeatedly, losing heat every time instead of using this steady fix. Check back only occasionally since the vent handles pressure on its own. What you avoid is a stovetop mess, and what you keep is a pot that simmers steady and undisturbed. 9. Build a hidden garlic paste layer. At the bottom, garlic burns fast when exposed directly to high heat, turning bitter within a matter of seconds. Spread 2 tablespoons garlic paste across the very bottom of your pot before adding rice or liquid on top, shielding it from direct contact with the flame. The layer above acts as insulation, allowing garlic's flavor compounds to infuse slowly into the dish instead of scorching immediately. Street vendors in Chengdu hide garlic paste this way beneath layered rice dishes, treating it as an invisible flavor base most customers never notice. Most home cooks stir garlic invisibly, risking burnt, acrid bits throughout the pot. Let it cook undisturbed for the full cooking time. What surfaces at the bottom is a layer that tastes deeply savory, mellow, and never bitter. 8. Use fermented bean paste for umami depth. Fermented bean paste carries free glutamates built up slowly through fermentation, delivering savory depth that salt alone cannot replicate. Stir in 1.5 tablespoons directly into your broth during the early cooking stage, letting it dissolve fully before adding other seasonings. Most people reach for extra salt or bouillon to boost flavor, missing out on the layered complexity fermentation provides instead. Households in Sichuan province keep a jar of this paste on hand, specifically for one-pot dishes, treating it as a pantry essential. Taste before adding any additional salt, since the paste already carries plenty on its own. What builds through the pot is a deep, savory richness that lingers pleasantly on the tongue. 7. Add crushed peanuts or fried shallots at the table. Crispy textures lose their crunch within minutes once they touch hot, moist ingredients. A simple truth most people ignore. Keep 3 tablespoons crushed peanuts and 2 tablespoons fried shallots in separate bowls. Add it only after the dish reaches the table. Moisture migrates instantly into anything crunchy sitting inside a hot pot, softening texture almost immediately on contact. Home cooks across Yunnan province always serve these toppings tableside, letting each guest sprinkle their own portion right before eating. Most people mix toppings in during cooking, and by serving time, all the crunch has vanished completely. Add them just before that very first bite. What lands on the spoon is a topping that stays crisp, nutty, and full of contrast against the soft dish below. 6. Use the tilted lid trick to reduce sauce without drying out the pot. Most people remove the lid entirely to reduce sauce and end up with the edges scorched while the center stays watery. Instead, prop your lid at a slight angle over the pot, covering about 3/4 of the surface, and let it simmer uncovered on one side for 12 minutes. Partial coverage allows steam to escape unevenly, concentrating reduction where it is needed most while still trapping enough moisture to protect the rest. Home cooks in Guangzhou province have used this exact tilt method for braised pork pots handed down through generations. Check the sauce at the 10-minute mark, tilting the lid further if it still runs thin. What thickens in the pot is a sauce that clings, glossy, and rich, without ever scorching the bottom. 5. Build a 2-temperature method, sear, then simmer. Searing at high heat and simmering at low heat trigger 2 completely different chemical reactions, and skipping either one shortchanges the final dish. Heat your pot until visibly smoking. Sear meat for exactly 90 seconds per side to lock in a browned crust, then drop the heat down low and add liquid to simmer for 40 minutes. The initial high heat triggers browning reactions on the surface, while the extended low simmer breaks down tough connective tissue slowly over time. Sichuan braising traditions rely on this exact 2-stage method, never skipping straight to a single steady temperature. Most people simmer the entire time at one setting, missing out on that deep browned flavor entirely. What emerges from the pot is meat that is browned outside, fall apart tender inside. 4. Use dried shrimp as a hidden flavor base. Most people skip dried shrimp, carry concentrated glutamates locked inside through the drying process, delivering an umami punch that fresh shrimp simply cannot match. Soak 2 tablespoons dried shrimp in warm water for 15 minutes, then mince finely and add them to your pot alongside your aromatics at the very start. Most people skip dried shrimp entirely, considering it an optional garnish rather than a genuine flavor base. Coastal households throughout Fujian province keep a jar of dried shrimp stocked specifically for this purpose, folding it into nearly every braise. Let the minced shrimp cook alongside your aromatics for 2 full minutes before adding anything else. What builds underneath the whole dish is a savory backbone that tastes deep, briny, and unmistakably rich. 3. Add a final vinegar splash to brighten. Heavy, rich pots rich, fatty dishes need acidity to cut through heaviness, something a simple science principle explains clearly. Acid balances fat on the palate by cutting through its coating sensation. Stir in 1 tablespoon Qingqiang black vinegar during the final 30 seconds of cooking, off direct heat. Most people taste a heavy pot and reach for more salt, when what it actually needs is brightness instead. Home cooks across Zhenjiang, the vinegar's namesake region, always finish rich braises with this exact splash. Stir once gently to distribute it evenly through the dish. What changes instantly is a pot that tastes balanced, bright, and no longer heavy on the tongue. You are almost there, so stay through to the very end, because the final trick completely changes how you will one-pot cook forever. 2. Use the rest and steam method to finish rice. Without opening the lid, most people lift the lid the moment they think rice is done, releasing trapped steam that the rice still needs to finish cooking properly. Once your rice looks nearly done, turn off the heat completely and let the pot sit sealed for exactly 15 minutes without touching the lid. Residual steam trapped inside keeps gently cooking the rice through carryover heat, finishing the process without any additional direct flame. Grandmothers throughout Guangdong province treat this resting step as sacred, refusing to serve rice a single minute early. Only after the full 15 minutes should you finally lift the lid and fluff. What you reveal underneath is rice that is fully cooked, fluffy, and never a single grain undercooked. 1. The clay pot. Double layer method that changes everything. This is the trick that changes everything. The one hack that ties every single lesson on this list together into one single pot. Most people think one pot cooking means throwing everything in together and hoping for the best, but that mindset misses the most powerful hack of all. Chinese clay pot cooking builds two distinct layers in a single vessel. A bottom layer of rice that develops a caramelized crust, and a top layer of protein and vegetables that steam gently above it, sealing in juice, crust, and aroma, all at once. Rinse 3/4 cup rice, add 1 1/4 cups water, then layer marinated chicken and Chinese sausage directly on top before covering completely. Cook on low heat for 18 minutes, then raise to high heat for exactly 90 seconds to finish the crust. The thermal difference between the pot's surface and its center creates two textures from a single heat source. No extra pan required. Grandmothers across Guangdong province have passed this exact double layer method down for generations, treating it as the crown jewel of home cooking. What comes out of that single pot is a dish that is crispy on the bottom, tender on top, and fragrant enough to fill the entire kitchen. Now here is the bonus tip, the instant pickling jar. As a reward for staying until the very end, here is one more trick that ties everything together. Keep a small jar in your fridge filled with 1 cup rice vinegar, 2 tablespoons sugar, and 1 teaspoon salt, ready at all times. Drop in sliced cucumber, radish, or carrot, and let them sit for just 20 minutes before serving alongside any one-pot meal. The acidity and salt draw moisture out of the vegetables through osmosis, creating a quick pickle without any real fermentation time. Home cooks across Sichuan province always keep a jar like this on standby, treating it as the perfect contrast to a rich, heavy pot. What you get is a bright, crunchy side that balances every single dish on this list. And that's exactly why we make these videos for you. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss the next one. Coming up, we are diving into 33 clever Chinese noodle soup secrets, plus a deep dive into the hidden science behind Chinese fermentation. Stay sharp, stay resourceful, and keep cooking like it matters. Drop a comment below telling us which one pot trick you are trying in your kitchen first.